Evening again, sports fans. Sorry that I've missed a couple of days. Just been far too busy. Where to start? Oh yeah, Thursday night I was in Hawke's Bay, had a fabulous time down there in Havelock North, and then Friday morning in Hastings for the breakfast. Was really cool. It was interesting actually, in the Friday morning they'd arranged for a breakfast, and there was 20 something people came, and as I got talking more to them, they were all, I think every one of them there was a full-time investor, and as I spoke more to some of them have been full-time for years, so it was kind of really cool. I'd really encourage any of you in Hawke's Bay, man, make sure you're in the PIA down there, because there's some talented people down there doing some really good stuff, so you can learn a whole lot from them that you couldn't get out of the book. So that was very cool. And the other thing has been the overwhelming response to the last video blog that I did, and in some ways I'm not surprised. The world's full of hurting people, but I've just really appreciated your comments and encouragement, and wanting help is cool. As I mentioned in my written blog, I'm going to look at maybe putting something on for people to come to, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about it tonight, and then tomorrow I'll be back onto property, only because I want to actually spend some time and put some stuff together that will really help. I take this very, very seriously. I believe in playing with people's lives, and your reaction has said, hey, this is something that we need help with. So I have a friend I was talking to on Sunday who is a trained psychotherapist and has been a Christian minister in different things, and it's like and I was talking to him about what do I do, and so or how's the best way to present the things that have worked for me in ways that will help you. So I'm going to do a series on that. I think I'll do it as a separate video blog series, and I'll just post a link to it as we go along. But I just thought I'd just touch on it a bit more tonight, or just to give you a little bit of background into why this is an important issue, and why many of you who have contacted me have said, oh, it's like, yeah, this just makes so much sense, and many of you have struggled in areas for a long time. And so the reason for that, excuse me, I'm going to lose my face now when we go to talk about the board. The reason that people struggle, and the reason that often that people don't have answers, is that we look for, as I mentioned last time, I think I talked about, you've got to stop watering the roots of the tree if you want to stop the fruit. So what we tend to do, wrong pen. What we tend to do is, what we're looking for is behaviour modification, right? We're looking for the ability to behave differently. And the problem with that is that, that's what we want ultimately, but that is an external thing. That's an external result. So we're back to looking at the symptoms rather than looking at the actual cause, because the problem with this is that you can modify your behaviour, but if it doesn't change what's going on internally, then it's never going to get any easier. It remains a struggle, and that's why some people, doesn't matter what they do, they still sit in the same place. Now, for example, even with me, right, I haven't smoked cigarettes since I think I was 16. I was either 16 or 18 the last time I had a cigarette. So that was 127 years ago. Now that was 26 years ago. So I can still walk into a bar, or I can't now, sorry, but until very recently, walk in somewhere where somebody was smoking, especially if I was having a glass of wine or whatever, and think to myself, that'd be nice, a cigarette would be nice, and then I think, oh, hang on, I haven't smoked for 20 years, or over 20 years. So my behaviour's been modified, but the pull, or the kind of memory is still there. So if I talked earlier about if we've been treated badly by somebody, for example, right, and say by a male authority figure, then what happens is we can choose to behave differently around other male authority figures so that we don't act like we're afraid of them or whatever. But if internally we remain afraid of them because we're not healed internally, we'll never actually grow. We'll never actually be able to live our lives differently. What we're trying to do is control our behaviour rather than dealing with the root. And so this, for me, the reason I'm going to take some time to put this together for you is that what we need to do is get healed if we're wounded, and I can't help but refer to my Christian beliefs, because at the end of the day, the Bible talks about as a man thinks in his heart, so he is, and it talks about the fact that our heart actually controls our lives. And so we have to be aware of what's going on with our hearts, because that's where we actually really live. If you've been abused or something negative, really negative has happened to you, you've been wounded in your soul or in your spirit or in your heart. And so that has to be unpacked and dealt with before you'll ever be able to move on. And this is a very, very powerful thing, and you can choose to decide I'm a liar, but I've watched, just to give you one example, of a lady who was absolutely crippled with arthritis to a point where she couldn't even hold a pen. She was an old lady in her 70s. And it transpired that she'd had a terrible fight as a child, or as a young teen, I think, but possibly even younger, with her sister. It was such a major event that as an adult, she had not spoken to her sister for something like 40 or 50 years. And she'd never forgiven her sister for what happened. So her heart was damaged with unforgiveness in this case. And she was physically crippled with arthritis. I watched her choose to forgive her sister for the first time in her life. And as she said, I forgive my sister for what she did to me, her hands went like this. Absolutely, completely normal, healed. And they were just perfect. And so that was an internal thing like this, an internal twisting that was destroying her. And as I say, I can't make you believe that. I can say I watched it with my own eyes. And I know for many of you, the thing that's really going on is that what you want is to modify your behaviour, but that won't necessarily get you more healed. See, if you're an alcoholic, you can modify your behaviour by choosing not to drink, right? But you may never lose the temptation to want to go and drink. I saw a thing on television a little while ago about two gambling addicts, and one of them, they took her to the pokies where she used to go, and they took another one to a casino, and they just couldn't, you could see them almost visibly shaking. They couldn't wait to be taken away because they knew they couldn't trust themselves, and they'd been incredibly destructive behaviour in their lives. Now, in 20 years, they probably would still feel exactly the same, because the hole in their spirit, the hole in their heart that needed fixing, that needed healing, and that they were trying to fill with gambling, hadn't been healed. But if an alcoholic, if you can get healed, if the thing that makes you want to drink to excess all the time can be healed, you can actually go and have a drink because you're not an alcoholic anymore. I was involved with a group of people for several years who were predominantly sexual addicts. They were compulsive watchers of pornography or visiting, prostitutes compulsively. Now, outside of being healed of what they were looking for, which were all kinds of issues, when they got healed, the problem went away. The temptation didn't have a hold on them anymore. But the ones who just tried to modify their behaviour by choosing to stop doing it, the pull was just as strong. What's this got to do with investing? Well, quite a lot actually. If we're not whole people, we will make stupid decisions. We will sabotage our own ability to ever really get ahead in life, because there are needs in our life that we're trying to get met, and we don't know how to get them met because we're damaged, and so we don't function well. And the response to my blog has been proof of me that even though there's many of you looking for success through investing and through property, but what you actually want is to wake up in the morning and feel good about yourself. Even people who I really respect, like Kurik Ashley, for example, when I did his course last year, I think it was, a lot of what he taught was really good and very helpful. But some of it wasn't, and that's because there are some things that I don't believe you can cure outside of emotional and spiritual healing. So Kurek said at one point that he gets up at 3 o'clock every morning to work on himself so that he was in a good frame of mind for the day. And I thought, wow, how sad is that? I get up at 8:30 in the morning and I don't have to work on myself because I feel good about myself already. See, so Kurek is modifying his behaviour and teaching people how to modify their behaviour to function well and to feel good about themselves through behaviour modification. But he'll die needing to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and spend 3 or 4 hours working on himself to be able to get through the day and feel good. We were not designed to be like that. And if you're in that situation where you have to spend hours getting yourself revved up just to get through the day or whatever your thing might be, it's energy sapping. You never have the freedom of time to get on and do the things that you really enjoy. You often will never find out what you enjoy. Right, so I just want to set that as a bit of a preamble. As I say, I'm not going to talk about this again until I've got some stuff ready. It'll be probably a week or two for me to get some material together to start presenting it to you. But what I'll do is endeavour to give you some keys to get healed. If you're totally anti-God or don't believe in things spiritual, then watch and ridicule, or don't watch. I'm sorry, there is no way. I can't help you outside of the only thing that will really help you, which is spiritual healing and emotional healing. Nothing weird or wacky about it, but it's why my wife and I are still married. It's why we're successful in property, is because of what God has done in us and does through us. And I hope that for some of you who are looking for answers, that you're willing to consider something that you might have thought was not what you hoped it would be. Other than that, bookings are going well for Wellington, which is really cool, and starting to get some bookings for Christchurch. Can't think of anything else I really need to tell you this evening. I hope things are going well for you, and tomorrow, promise, video blog all about property. See you soon. Bye.